when I think about myself and my roadblocks to healing, well, as a twin, you can't help but compare yourself because all of society and everybody in your life compares you. But most humans start comparing themselves to others. And I'm wondering why in kindergarten, maybe they do that now. It's very, very detrimental to compare yourself to another human, because when you suffer from, you can't help it. When you don't have a mommy or a daddy, you're going to feel badly about yourself. And you are looking for somebody to love you. Mommy, if I do that, now, mommy, are you going to look at me? How about if I do this, this, and this? Oh, can you look at me now, ma? Or dad, can you, you're just looking. And so there's this human nature that we are always looking for that. And if you can't look at how I got out of because I was headed to be the person crying for 20 years in therapy about why my deceased mother could not give me eye contact. And the best part was I was ungrateful. See, the depression take on, and I don't mean I took it on purpose, but the depression perspective, you aren't grateful for anything. So I have this wonderful father, this wonderful mother. I'm not grateful. And that's your roadblock. And to take accountability in my head, my black and white thinking back then was to say that I was wrong and they were right. Yeah. It wasn't to say your mind is tricking you, Jane, because of your hurt feelings. I mean, AA has this thing that hurt people hurt people. Well, how the heck long are we going to live in a society where everybody's hurt emotionally? Yes. And then physically, look at what happens 100% of the time, 100% of the time, when a police officer kills a person of color. That's not whatever this color in my face is. I'm really not. It's very blotchy. There is an uprising. There's this looting and crime. It's this phenomenon called horizontal violence. And it only happens 100% of the time you squash a group of people. So when we live in a sexist world, you're squashing men. Well, what do they say about nursing back in the day? Women squashing women, not men. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. So in a sexist world, when the men were squashing, well, maybe we need to be in a world where women start squashing men. Oh, I think we are. We're leaning towards that now. Men don't know how to date. Men don't know what to say. And we were invited on a podcast where men aren't having sex. 40%. They said they're not having any sex, which I guess the population, the globe is overcrowded. Be celibate for a while and enjoy it. See, this is what I want to say. Come from a different perspective. Don't come from the victim of the school shooting. Come from the shooter's perspective. Change perspective. Change try to solve the issue. Don't come from, the cop, getting this terrible person who's sick in prison. Ask the prisoner how they got to this point. Well, of course they won't say it right away, but come from a different perspective. You don't, what's the insanity quote? Keep doing it. Keep doing it the same way and expecting a different result. And it's crazy. It's crazy because my son read this book or saw it. I always get this wrong, but in 100 or 500 years, when we look back on something in our culture, and we will call it probably barbaric. They asked some scholar, Joan. Yeah. And I think it was Joe Rogan asking a scholar, and he said, I don't think it's going to be 100 years. I think it could take 500 and it'll be the prison system is what he called it. Because like we said, if you're not already sociopathic, the prison system will allow you to become that. The guy, this person, I've even had the person who got involved in a gang rape because of peer pressure in college. And then the poor guy admitted it to me, and then I never saw him again. And what I want to say is I wished I had been able to say thank you for trusting me enough for letting that out. But it was interesting that I was sexually assaulted. And what I want to say is it was so interesting to me because I liked this man a lot. And what I want to say is Jane, one of her favorite books was Good People Do Bad Things. Yes, they do. We shouldn't, that cancel culture. Somebody may have made a mistake
tell them it was a mistake, let them mull that around, but don't hang them or give them the gas chamber for the mistake. No wonder young people are afraid to make mistakes.
And nobody wants to get a job. Everybody wants to be their own boss because, so for example, in nursing, for the entirety of nursing, if you made a mistake, there's something called an incident report would be written up. It would always go in your file, but it was private, and you when your time for a raise, and
that was their way of not giving you the raise.
They maybe would, but it was the time to talk about, you know, how could you do better and this and that, what could be different. It was always with someone older and wiser than you, your supervisor or whatever. Now you make a mistake in the world of medicine.
Yeah, it's terrible.
People are being forced to surrender their licenses.
Yeah, and big, huge fines, like a psychiatrist we used to know,
$10,000
for a mistake, and no one died. But you know, in our other sister's a hairstylist, hairdresser. They make mistakes all the time, and we tip them. Isn't that interesting? So we actually tip the hairstylist for not giving us. I actually brought a picture, but it doesn't look anything like this, but it was a picture. But, you know, I said to my sister, Lori, how come you can get it all wrong and I tip people? But in medicine, we get it wrong and we get ostracized, except in that old building that I was talking about in the 80s when we were good caregivers.
Yes.
I was written up 5 times as a brand new nurse. Some were bad write-ups. People were in restraints, 4-pointed in a restraint, broke out of the restraint, was smoking in the seclusion room, which we never monitored properly back then. So there were big write-ups. Another person got hurt because she beat somebody up because I let her out of restraints because she said she was constipated. She was in restraints for 3 months, constipated. Anyway, I got written up 5 times. I got a raise. I couldn't believe that was the best job, the best teaching job. And tell them why. Joan said, I did so many things wrong. You're giving me a raise? I said to the director of nursing, how could you do this? I did everything wrong. She said, you never made the same mistake twice. That's called learning, Joan. It's like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. So today, people don't have that. That's horrible. And my subsequent jobs, they weren't very nice. But that, oh my God, that was a beautiful job.
Discipline is supposed to be teaching. And we kind of live in a society that, if you think about it, the prison system is not that far off from some of the systems out there, including a family system. I had countless, I have lost count on, and this could be a generational thing because our parents never did this, and we did slam doors and we, you know, threw things and we yelled, and we are Italian.
Oh, but other
and so there were countless people that took the bedroom door off the hinges
of their kid,
of the adolescent who was acting out, who's just saying, something's wrong, please. I don't know how to express myself, but something is wrong. Now they have no privacy in a time where they need the most privacy. So it has to be safe privacy, but now they have no privacy. So it's just the system, it will change because life does get cyclical, I've noticed, and we are old enough. And I just hope it changes soon before we lose more good nurses and doctors and medical assistants and whatever, the countless people that are losing their life income over mistakes.
Yeah.
Can I just share the one that devastated me the most? It was a male staff member, and I want to call him a certified nurse's aide, but he might have been some other type of staff member. And apparently he said something rude to a visitor. He had to take a class. There, of course, was a fine. And then I think he lost his license over it, but don't quote me. But I mean, there's things that, why would you have to do that? Why can't take the class, but discuss it with a mentor in the facility that you're working at, please.
Can you imagine another job where you make a mistake and you can't continue your work? You know, a carpenter, I mean, he has to be able to, he or she has to be, anybody, a hairstylist, they get to make mistakes all the time. I can't get over that. And we tip them